So how do we change this? Well, I've got some ideas. These are just ideas. They're just starting points. Take them and run with them in whatever way you can. First, what are you afraid of losing? Do you fear being replaced? If you don't have a fear of loss, then you will always have the capacity to grow and gain. If you have a fear of loss, your fear of loss anchors you so you can't really connect with what you need to. It is the connecting of the energies that's what's important. Right now, we are all nothing more than trillions, tens of trillions of electrical impulses flashing non-stop. And that flash is based upon a historical reference point. All we're doing is just recreating the sensations of the past. And anytime you have a sensation, it creates a pleasure principle. So we're trying to recreate pleasure by what we're doing with our actions today and hoping there'll be an outcome. In that context, and you can say that those individuals who are seeking pleasure because food at one time was pleasurable to them, every time they eat, they're trying to recreate the pleasure energy and get the endorphins going, because the endorphins in your biochemistry is going to directly respond to these pleasure principles. So in effect, we are all addicts to pleasure. And what is the greatest pleasure in our society? Love. So anything we have connected to that compares itself to love, we feel, my goodness, I want to recreate this. But it was a moment in time when we felt it. Boom, it's gone. Well, we want it back. I want that feeling back. I want that feeling. What do I got to do to get that feeling? Okay, it depends upon which part of the system you're in. If you're in the main system, you've already been told by country western music, you're nobody till somebody loves you. So you got to go make someone love you. So you got to fall in love. Well, you can't fall in love. And you can't fall out of love. It's just a biochemical response. But we don't want to look at it at that level. We don't want to see ourselves as 100 trillion connected cells. We want to see ourselves as one whole person with a whole heart that breaks easily and needs to be constantly reminded of how sensitive it is. Otherwise, it will weep itself away like one big melting ice cube. All it is just a... You like that? Write that down then. It's just a series of pulses, sensations. And why do you think people keep going back to opiates? Because the opiate gives them a sensation that they can control greater than anything in their day-to-day life they can control. You can't get that feeling that you get with cocaine or heroin or morphine or opium or alcohol or chocolate cake or a bowl of sugared something in day-to-day activities, because we are not connecting with what is essential. We want instant gratification. We want that instant buzz. And that's all it is. But in the buzz is a memory, and the memory stays. So now we've got buzzes, and we're trying to connect with something of a pleasure. And so we think, okay, the pleasure comes in security. That's a pleasure. I want that pleasure of security, not having to worry. Think of how much of our life is spent trying to have something that we think will make us secure and give us a special feeling. And the whole process of getting there has been negated. We have no consciousness of the day-to-day process of living. We're goal-oriented. Everything's a goal. Work hard and get there. No, it doesn't work that way. Because every day I'm still a person. It's only when I'm present in this one single moment of my life and open myself up to all the energies that I can bring in and be aware that the energies will have either constructive or destructive force, be positive or negative, will allow me to vibrate at one level and cause those shocks in my system, or will depress my system. When I'm conscious in the moment, I am aware of the moment has power. When anything comes to my past, the past has no capacity to create a reality in this moment that's meaningful for me. And all we do is carry the past with us every single day. What in the world do you expect is going to be different tomorrow if all you're going to take is today into tomorrow? Then tomorrow doesn't exist as a unique experience. We want the future to be a certain way, so we plan for the future. We work towards a future, negating the moment. All we're doing is living off the recreation of those old impulses that are stimulating throughout our body, positive or negative, and that dictates our actions. We're afraid of being replaced. As we get older, fear of our aging, fear of our wrinkles, fear of our impotency. Most men over the age of 40 are afraid of sex. At one level, because they're afraid they cannot sustain the kind of power and potency they once had at 18 that was more vibrant. So there's a fear. So it's never a completely connected act. It's a rapid act. Anytime you're afraid of losing something, you've already committed yourself to a negative energy. Because every single second you're losing something. You're losing the life that you just had. Because every single moment in life is changed. Hence, you must recreate a reality every single moment of your life. Reality can only exist in the moment you're in. Yesterday's reality no longer exists. Tomorrow's doesn't exist. But we're either mourning the past or projecting to the future. Two places that you don't want to be, the past or the future. And almost all your psychic thoughts, almost all your efforts are to get you to one place or keep you in the other. The second way that we can so understand that and focus on it, and you can help yourself. The next issue. Which of these fears are permanent? Now, there's some fears you keep having over and over again, all the time. What are they? How do they impact you? What decisions do you make based upon the fears you have? The fears that you have will directly affect whether or not you are free to have a new and unique experience, bringing in energy, because all you are is the energy you bring in for that new experience. So when I'm present to bring in new energy and connect with something that is a new energy, then I can vibrate that energy. My whole body will vibrate based upon the energy I'm open to. But if I'm already connected with all this existing energy, then what's the new energy going to do? I'm going to hold it at bay. I'm going to think about it and process it, but I'm going to keep it out there. As a result, at the end of the day, all we have is yesterday's energy to process. We're still a prisoner of yesterday. Fear blocks the new energy from coming in. How many times have you heard people say, now I'm going to be the way I want to be from the past? Yeah? Well, what were you in the past that was so great that you'd want to reproduce it? Which of those parts of yourself? You think you're going to change a bit and a piece of yourself and it's going to make a difference? No, you got to change the whole. How do you do that? How do you really change? Well, there's several things you can do. First, ask yourself, what do you accumulate? How much time and energy do you spend on it? We like to accumulate things for our journey. We feel that the more things we accumulate, the easier our journey will be, and the more we'll be able to justify the stage of our journey that we're in. So if I have a certain amount of money, and a certain amount of friends, and a certain amount of things I've done, a certain amount of possessions, then I can say, well, I'm on a good journey, look what I have to show for it. So we're always trying to show things to people as if we're saying, take a look, this is the exhibit of my life, come into my exhibit. And people go, ooh, you've got that? Well, now you're somebody then. Oh yes, I paid this and I got that. Think of the things that we're accumulating, or try to. We shouldn't be trying to accumulate things. Do you think anybody really cares how much money you make and how hard you work to make it? Who cares? It's meaningless. Trying to make life more austere by minimalizing it allows you the freedom simply to be. At the end of the day, it's not what you own that makes you unique, it's who you are and your capacity to share who you are without relying upon having to bring up everything like a whole Broadway extravaganza. Look at all the singers and dancers in my life. No, I'm looking at you. Take away the music. Take away all the facade. It's just you. But we're afraid of that because we haven't developed ourselves. We're afraid. We have to surround ourselves. It's like a person lip syncing a song. We're afraid of what our real voice would sound like. Our real emotions would be expressed. How do you compete? For what do you compete? Against whom do you compete? We're a highly competitive society. Almost everything within our society is based upon winning or losing. From presidential races to basketball and sports teams, to getting the job, to getting the person, we're competing. How many times have we heard people talking ill of other people simply because they were jealous, and it made it easier to compete with someone at some level if we denigrated them? We've all heard people in different ways. What they're really doing was competing. Competing for attention, competing for affection as if there's a shortage of it. And as long as we compete, we'll get it exclusively. Again, it comes from insecurity. What is the central meaning of your life? We all should have a central meaning. And if we understand the central meaning of our life, then we're not disguising the activities day to day by being filled up with superficial meaning. You get to a certain point in life where you look in the mirror and say, what do I have that's real and what do I have that's superficial? How much of my life has been filled up with things that have no real meaning? Now, here's the issue. You can't live that life over again. You've just wasted a lot of time. For what? What were you trying to prove? What were you trying to show? You can never live another moment over. And yet you keep wasting those moments if somehow through the suffering of the waste, you're redeeming a life that's not actualized. You'll never find redemption through a lack of meaning. And all the things you do and all the tears you shed and all the concern you have will not replace a single joyful moment of free being and an expression of love of life. It's hard for us to get there, and we work awful hard to do that. But you can't do that if you're already connected to everything else that is keeping you from it. What do you sacrifice to find meaning, and what do you do to avoid the truth of your meaning? Now, mind you, you either have meaning and the truth of it, or you have non-meaning and you have to justify non-meaning. None of you wake up today and go do something without meaning. But if you ask yourself how authentic it is to your real self, your real needs, what in the world do you expect to happen if you keep living meaningless days, filling it with obligations and responsibilities, things that from the outside look okay, things that will make you seem like a together person? But when you strip away all that, it's just distractions. Distractions. You take the average person today, whether they're a 20-year or 30 or 40 or 50, 60-year-old, and you ask them, don't do anything for a day, just be. No television, no music, no conversation, and they will panic. They can't handle it. So we keep occupied. Keep yourself busy. Why? I've been busy. If you go busy yourself in meditation, it's still keeping busy. You run off to do yoga, it's still busy. I can tell you that most of the people I filmed who were packed into a yoga center downtown were highly stressed people. And that was just a more natural form of opium. Because they left that studio and went right back out and re-engaged because they had not disconnected. They merely distracted themselves for an hour thinking, as long as I'm doing yoga, I'm de-stressing. No, because you went back out into a stressful environment and still going to react to it. What you do that merely strokes the consciousness to give you some sense of ease doesn't change anything. I'm looking for you to make fundamental change. You can't change till you're conscious of what change should be. Next issue. What's missing from your life and how does that affect you? Because whatever's missing from your life will affect you. It's not possible to have something missing without feeling it, because there's going to be a vibration for what is missing. this unrequited sensation that we feel, you're going to put something in its place. Always, when something is missing from our life, we substitute something. What have you substituted? You put something there. And it's what you put there that ends up becoming a sublimating distraction, whether it's work or a relationship or self-pity or drugs or smoking or eating. You're going to put something there. Focus upon the something that you put for what's missing in your life and get it out of the way. Surrender it. Don't do it anymore. No matter how much pain you have to go through when you start to withdraw from things that superficially stimulate you and make you feel better superficially, it's an artificial stimulation and it's not authentic. Next issue. What do you do to prevent any interruptions in your normal behavior and lifestyle and beliefs? Think on these questions. Take your time. These are meant for you to write them out and focus on them. One question per day, and just focus upon it. Keep coming back to it. And keep realizing that you're merely an accumulation of living events that you've put into that question. Next, are you actively seeking any new directions? If so, how are you seeking these new directions? All the time people come to me and say, I'd like a new direction. All right, you want a new direction. What are you willing to do to put in that direction? Can you go into that new direction completely new? Surrender the old energy. People want to take everything that has accumulated in their past and bring it into something new and put something new on top of something old. You can't do that. You can't take the past and merely clean it up, wash it up and expect it to work. You've got to surrender it. And a new direction means you have to make a sacrifice. You have to go through a mastery of what it is you're trying to do with your new direction. Surrendering the fear of the past allows you to be present for what you want to do with this new direction. So if I want to do something new in my life, I have to surrender something old in my life. I can't have two energies competing. If you have two energies competing simultaneously, you're going to be drawn between one and the other, but you're connected authentically to neither. So you'll never completely feel that sense of bliss, authentic connection, and reality that you deserve. That's what happens when we're afraid to commit ourselves to something, because heaven forbid, how am I going to look? How many times people say, well, that's not me. How do you know it's not you? How do you know it's not you? Look in the mirror. Do you really want to be more of you? Be honest, take a careful look. Because from where I'm looking, I wouldn't want to keep bragging about, well, I don't want to change. I like the way I am. Really? Be honest. I don't think so. Well, having more of the same mindset of rigidity is merely saying, my feet are in concrete, Gary. Pull me out. No, I'm not going to. You pull yourself out. Well, I can't change, and you're right, and you won't. So then it's all for nothing. Just expect more of the same. The only thing that's going to happen from that day on is you're just going to get older and more decrepit. That's the best that's ever going to happen in your life. You think you look bad now? Wait 5 years from now. You're going to be happy with how you look today. Oh, if I only could look the way I did 5 years ago. And we forget that 5 years is going to come. But it can come differently if you're willing to change and honor the true and authentic self. More of this kind of stuck in the mud attitude will not change anything. And don't be afraid to experiment with your life. Life should be one big experiment. Trying things and seeing what it feels like. How does it vibrate? What is the energy? But be present for it. You can't do something new and have an old energy judge it. The old energy is dominant. You have to be present for the new, fully present in this moment. When you're present in this moment and you experience life, then you're allowing yourself to let it be what it is. But we then can't trust ourselves. So we look back. How many times have we been present for a moment that was blissful and turned around and looked back for how we should judge it? And boom, closed our mind right back up again. And where do you end up? Right in a big cesspool, walling around, smelling to high heaven psychically, one damaged piece of merchandise and saying, help me, help me. Well, why don't you climb out? Well, I don't want to. I want you to come in here and help me in here. Well, I can't do that. I choose not to do that. But you'll get someone to come in with you. We're only too willing to help people who really don't want to change, but ask for our help. I'm sure you've met those people, right? A lot of time and energy they take. And what happens at the end of it? Nothing, right? Right back where you started. Next issue. Do you possess all of the resources to choose openness and growth? You have to be open to grow. You can't force change. When you're ready to change, you will find it effortless. You'll be open because openness means there's no conflict. You're open and present. Openness is without resistance. Change then can manifest. Change can only occur in a constructive way when there's an openness to it. Because then you've made yourself vulnerable to be present in the moment you're in. When you're open and you're not judging everything, I can't do that, I can't do that, I don't want like that, I won't like that, I'm not sure about that, I'm not sure. I better think about that, I better talk with a friend, better talk with 10 friends, better cry, better write, or write my diary, I'm not sure, I'm not sure. I better go see some people who are going to accept me for the way I was. They'll reinforce that I'm all right. Kiss the emotional boo-boos. Openness in the moment you're in, and you can experience that moment and allow a whole new series of sensations and awarenesses and conscious connections. Don't judge it by the old mindset. The energies are not compatible. We're always trying to take that big paradigm, the major structure of our society and all of its rules, and judge our current behavior by it. Why do you think that only a handful of physicians in the United States are using complementary medicine? Because they know, even though they are aware they can heal people, they know that it will not be rewarded. So their reward, hence their security, hence their place in the hierarchical order, is more important than the growth of an open mind and truly healing people. They'll be rewarded without healing people. They'll be rewarded for the effort. It'll all be a game, an illusion. We'll pay you and reward you and make you well known and respected and loved, even if every patient you have dies. That's the power of a paradigm. But if you get to that place where you can be in the moment and you say, wow, how can I make that choice when this is more reasonable and I see it now? Because when you're open, you see things you don't see otherwise. Your belief system gives you that view. That's it. Openness gives you this view. The vibration is in the larger view. And finally, describe the changing image of yourself. What has been the crisis that has forced you to pay more attention? Again, a crisis creates a sensation. Pay attention to it. How does that crisis make you aware that you really have to change? The crisis can be the one thing that saves us. If we don't ever feel a need to examine our lives close enough to see where our crisis is, then we end up like Bill Clinton, right? Walking down the street one day and the heart, now he has a triple, quadruple bypass. He's probably got amyloid plaque in the brain, because anything that's going to clog the arteries is going to also affect the brain. His crisis gave him an opportunity to start over again. As painful as that may be for him, the pain and the struggle comes from trying to hold on to the past and the past sensations. those past moments of pleasure in eating a cheeseburger or smoking a cigar, instead of being present and having the mastery of doing something that is truly connecting with what is essential to his well-being and a different form of happiness. Have you feared full disclosure? Every crisis we have is a lesson. If we're willing to embrace the crisis, then we're willing to embrace the lesson. The lesson of our crisis then allows us to see what we connected to, because it's only what you connect to and repeat that causes you to get into the crisis. All of your crises are nothing more than the inappropriate connections you have made. How in the world did you make those connections? The larger belief system encouraged you, rewarded you. No one stopped you from eating the hamburgers, the hot dogs, the french fries. No one stopped you from gambling. No one stopped you or discouraged you from smoking or drinking. Smoking more so, but not drinking, as long as you socially drank and socially smoked and socially ate. No one stopped you from voting in the wrong way for the wrong people. No one stopped you or discouraged you from not participating in the world or caring about rights, human rights, civil rights. No one discouraged you from that. So when we see that we're nothing more than an amalgamation, a collection of all the things that we have connected to, then at some point there is an accumulative effect of all the energy, and that cumulative effect can be disease or emotional breakdown, because the weight of balance at the human psyche, the energy of the cell, shifts at a certain point. You are doing more to create disharmony than harmony. And when you've done enough to create disharmony with such gross imbalance, that's when the crisis occurs. But remember, you will only manifest a crisis at the end stage of the inappropriate activity. It could have taken you a lifetime before you get to your crisis. Imagine if you would have taken time along the way to examine cause and effect, to question your values and beliefs, to look honestly and openly at everything you had done up to that point and see, had it produced something that was authentic and meaningful, or something that was merely obligatory and you were being responsible as a good citizen to your belief system. At the end of the day, it'll be one or the other. Your crisis, if you examine it, can reveal who you had become, and hence give you the freedom to become who you should be. It's almost always in our society that it's through crisis that we have an opportunity to grow and learn. I wish that it were otherwise. I think it's imperative that we not wait till there's crisis, a heart attack, a stroke, a nervous breakdown, going broke, dissolving relationships, addictive behavior, lying, cheating, betraying, compromising true values, until one day we wake up and say, whoa, what have I become? Because all you have become is a collection of the energies that you've lived through up to that point. And the body doesn't forget. So everything you've lived through is vibrating. And that vibration becomes a sensation. So every cell that vibrates negatively, you're going to look for something that will stimulate an opposite feeling. Hence the tranquilizers, the alcohol, the feel-good friendships, the food, constant busyness. That's what happens when our life is so out of balance that we're looking in the wrong places to rebalance it. The belief system won't allow us to rebalance it authentically, because to rebalance a belief system that's out of whack authentically means we may have to disassociate with much of the belief system. A doctor becomes a holistic doctor. Holistic doctors are not accepted by the mainstream. They're only tolerated as long as they don't threaten the status quo. That's why we have no holistic doctors, or holistic psychologists, or holistic nutritionists. You can still be tolerated and still survive within the mainstream, providing you do not do so much that it threatens anyone else. So you will do chelation, or you'll do some homeopathy, or you'll do a little deep breathing or yoga. These can be tolerated, but not accepted. But what if you want to do everything? Oh, then you're too much. You've gone overboard. You're out of control. Out of whose control? Out of the establishment's control. And then they say goodbye and push you out. And then your own insecurity says, whoa, how am I going to survive? Because you needed that security. So we do things by bits and pieces. We take one piece of a puzzle, and every day we keep looking at that piece of a puzzle, and we turn it 16 ways and say, why don't I see a true and honest and authentic reflection of who I am? Because you've only got one piece of a puzzle. Your job is one piece. Your relationship is one piece. Your belief system is one piece. Your body is one piece. The choices you make are pieces. But they don't mean that they're your picture that's going to form this. It's only when you put it all together for yourself, and you can only do that when you're completely authentic, when you're completely natural, when you're completely honest and completely open, completely vulnerable. Then you take all the pieces, you take the other pieces that don't work that someone told you, that's your face, that's your face, that's your face. And you say, but it's not my face. And they say, yes it is. Who are you going to believe? Your face or us? And you say, no, I'm taking this out and I'm putting my true pieces in. And whoa, you look and you say, that's me. And you think, I feel it. I feel that authentic vibration. And then you've connected with the real self. That's the journey that we have to take. And you thought maybe that you were where you were comfortable. And I'm suggesting you're not finished yet. Thank you very much.